Hey everybody. All right. So yesterday I covered a lot in regards to overlays and creating your overlays locally. I did notice because I watched it, there is a time that you actually couldn't see the code. So what I'm going to do today is just go through some of that code that was hiding um, when I was trying to explain it to you. The problem with that was there was OBS was loaded and then the screen was loaded, and it doesn't really matter. It was difficult and you couldn't see it. So now I want to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so let's get into the code. I'm going to simply show you what I did yesterday and go through some of those steps. And it is 11:50 and I'm having some coffee. All right, let's see. Code and you can see it. And I think I fixed this so you can actually, yeah, I can actually zoom in so you can actually see exactly what I'm doing. Um, Honestly, if you're looking at this on a regular desktop or laptop, it looks fine. Let me tone some things down. There we go. There is a lot of ambient light. I was a little overexposed yesterday in regards to some of the lighting issues, so I think I'm much better now. All right, let's let's just show you what happened. npm run dev, and there it is. So I click on this, and there we go. That is one of the sites, right? But what I did yesterday is I created a background and I created a test. So let's get into background. So if I do this slash background, you actually see it. I have a cool animated background, um, yeah, with some of the mouse move that I really don't need. But animated background, talk about some of the CSS, talk about some of the styling I did here. You can change, obviously you can change the styling and do whatever you want, but this is actually a background scene. And what I've done, and I think I still have it up, if I go to overlay scene, yeah, the overlay is actually wrong. So let's see what the overlay is. Localhost 3000, background, local file 1920, yeah. Let's refresh it. There we go. See? And there is my overlay scene. Yay. All right, let's get back into the code so you can actually see it. So there's that, and now I'm going to go to the code and make sure you can see it. All right, you can. Cool. So I'm in the background module, SCSS. I have a canvas background and main. So there's not a whole lot to this. The main part is this. Absolute positioning, top left, width, height. Here, I'll even zoom in on this. So if you come here, of course now it doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? There it is. And that is everything right there. I mean, here, I'm going to actually do this so you can see all of it. And that's everything. Let me scroll down a little bit. Right there. Yeah. Position absolute, top left, that's positioning, 15%, width 70, height 70. It's fine. Um, but you get the point. Yeah, rather than zoom in, I'm just going to keep it pretty big so you can actually see it. Zooming in and out is really annoying, especially when you're doing tutorials. All right, so now that you see this, let's actually get this, and I will move this over and I want to make sure you can see both of those, and you can. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play with, here, actually this will probably be better. See how it's resizing? That is, and I'll show you why we don't want to do that. We want this to actually be 1920 by 1080, so when we look at it, it'll actually show up as that overlay. But as long as it's scaled correctly, you'll get close to it. But right now, I just want to play with some of the look and feel of this. So by doing the look and feel, you can actually see some of the things I've done. I'm going to put something in the container just so we can see some text. So let's go into the page.js, and I'm going to put hello world because that's what we always do. I will save that, and there it is. So now you can see that text. Great. So now if I do this and I go back to that CSS, I can change the color of that text. Color red, save it. It updates real time. It's one of the things I love about Next.js is the automatic refresh. So I don't have to come back to the page, refresh. I can literally keep it in my background like you see here, and I can play with it. So if I start messing with this and I save it, you see how the border changed? 30. So it's more of a blur factor. What if I change this to 25? See how it expands even further? Or less of an expansion, more subtle. I wonder if I put 0 here, what happens? Yeah, that doesn't matter. And let's do that. That should be super subtle. Yeah. 10 px. Yeah, I like 20. Yeah, I like the, let's do 30. And let's do 30 px. Px. So what that did, so the first number is the x value, and the second number is the y value. So as you can see, everything moved down, and if I do this, this should actually move everything to the right. Yeah, exactly. So this will move it to the right. If I do negative, it'll move it to the left, and there you go. And if I do this negative, it's going to move it to the top. Right, but if I want it centered, which is what I actually want, just put 0, so it stays centered. And then this is the blur effect. I don't know. Yeah, it's the disbursement, I think, something like that. Uh, let's do 40. That's good. And do 10 px. Yeah, there you go. Looks good. I can change the width of this and the height, and you can watch it update real time. There you go. Let's put it back to 70. But the way I actually did this and get it positioned is I want it to be, and I'm going to make this lined up for the whole screen. I want it to be 1920 by 1080. So all the way over here, just like that, right? So that's actually what it'll look like when I go to my other scene. So when I go to my other scene, overlay scene, I fit perfectly. Yay! That's kind of cool. All right, let's get back to the code. So there's that. That's how I want it to be seen. So then to line this up in the full screen, I can do this. And now that's on the full screen, and that's on the full screen. Great. So I hope that answers some of the stuff I covered yesterday that was off screen, because that was literally, this was on the screen and I was looking at code. And I think it was because I was actually on the overlay scene here, and I was actually looking at code here. So I apologize for that. All right, back to the code. So one of the things I'm thinking of doing now that I'm playing with CSS and I'm playing with Next.js and building things out, but building Next.js is really fun and cool and blah blah blah. But when you're building web applications, not just websites, and the difference between that is websites are generally static and they just show up and primarily for like brand awareness, marketing, things like that. Web applications have some kind of like login and then maybe a dashboarding system or a game or something like that. But it's a lot more interactivity when you're building a web application. So building web applications, that's when everyone's like, are you a front end developer or a back end developer? Well, you kind of got to be both. And that's why they use the term full stack. So you can do everything from back end to front end. So front end is basically what I've done today or yesterday and today. So front end is the styling, the CSS, the interface. Um, there is a lot of JavaScript in regards to front end development, also in regards to uh, validation and animations and things like that. So I don't want to say that front end doesn't have anything to do with JavaScript code or things like that. It primarily is focused on the user interface, the way it looks, and the user experience. The back end is primarily the database, the API calls, the way it interfaces with the database, the way it builds on the database, the way uh, it does all the server side code, right? So if you're going to do server side code, you're going to have something like Python, Node.js running in the background. There, people familiar with that probably use um, yeah, Flask is a great one. So Flask actually has a front end and a back end. It can tie to multiple databases. Really cool. Huge fan. Not going to do a tutorial on Flask, mainly because if you need one, there's one called Miguel Grinberg, and it is the best Flask tutorial I have. It is bet I take that back. It is the best tutorial I have ever seen. So it's amazing. Just type in Flask mega tutorial and it will take you through everything. But what I want to do is build something that they call it build it in public, right? So I want to build something in public. Got to figure out what that's going to be, how I'm going to build it, what kind of tools I'm going to use. And I think I can actually use the daily, and I'm going to do little bits every day. But there's some basic functionality that you need in almost any web application. And keep in mind, I'm not building a website. I built a website for you in seconds using Next.js. Technically, it's a website. I didn't change anything. It's the default, but you get the point. If I want to build something else, I want to identify what I'm building. What am I going to interface with? What kind of tooling do I want to do? Well, there was one idea that came up and it was fascinating to me. I was like, oh, wow, it's really that easy. I could build overlays for people and build an interface for overlays. And let me show you. So if I go into, um, I think it's called, what is it called? Yeah, it's Owned Pro, I think is what it's called. Yeah. So they actually do amazing overlays. Uh, Discover, and they are amazing at what they do. Like imagine these being your overlays. They have animated graphics, animated backgrounds, really cool site. And I think there's another one called Streamlabs. Yep. Uh, I am not gonna, let's see where it takes me. Streamlabs. Uh, Widgets. Resources. Products. Stream overlays. Let's see. So they have the same kind of concept, right? So I guess Owned and Streamlabs are competitors. Let's take a look at one of theirs. Crazy cool. Here's a little really cool, amazing site. You can go to streamlabs.com. It shows you how to include it, how to add it, and this is the company that created it. I am not claiming credit for anything. You can simply click on install overlay. It has 4 scenes in it. That's just another one. So yeah, owned and Streamlabs have it, and I think let's look at Ultra. Uh, do they have pricing? Of course not. Why doesn't any site just start with pricing? Because that's where we all want to get to. So let's do join Ultra. Yeah, so it has all of this, but it does one plan, all the features. Great. Ultra. Widgets. Products. Wow, I gotta sign up. Nope. I don't want to sign up. I want to see what the cost is. Because there's oh, compare plans. Finally. Wow, what a hassle to get to their plans. Join annual. So $19 a month or $150 a year. Let's compare the other one. And I don't work for either one of them. I am not sponsored. I am not anything. I am literally just looking. All pro features. Join for free. Yeah, it's not. Nothing's free. Free plan. Pro. Oh, this is so. Let's. Wow, that's clever. All right, so this is $4 a month, which translates annual to $48. And this Streamlabs, access to all overlays, this alerts widgets, desktop. Oh, so this actually has an application with it to actually do the stream. I'm using OBS Studio. This actually uses it uses their own application. 1 hour videos, 250 gigs of storage, and it gets rid of all their watermarks. Dual output. I don't even know what that would be for. I could have 11 guests on camera. Yeah, okay. Not for me, but $149 a year or $19 a month. And you come here. This is $15 a month. But this is literally for all of your overlays specifically. Streamlabs does give you a lot more, and it actually has its own application to actually help you with the stream. So the interface is crazy simple. But it's up to you to determine that. All right. Not a whole lot to talk about today. I just wanted to cover this so you can see what I did there, and I will come back to it. So there's that, and then I created the background, right? Hello world, yay. And now I bet you if I do the hello world and I come to the overlay scene, no, the hello world doesn't show up because this is over it, right? But if I move this out of the way, logo, what is the title tag, zoom scene, something like that. And there's a hello world behind it, right? Let's lock that into place. There you go. Pretty cool. The other thing was the title text, which I thought was really fun. I covered that yesterday. I think I will go back to the code camera and I'm going to move this so you can actually see that just to make sure that's covered. Today is basically redoing what a live stream did yesterday. So in here, if I go to screen capture, Desktop screen capture properties, hide OBS. Great. So now that you can see OBS, if I do this and I do text and I'll do add existing, say okay. And it puts it all the way up here. Let's move it down to here. I want that to be scrolling. And then inside of this, I can literally click on properties. This is what I'm doing. These are the colors it's using for the gradient. All of that is good. I wonder if there's manual on log lines, drop shadow. Cool. So that looks good. Let's do filters. So I added a scroll filter, which allowed me to do the scroll. If I want it to go faster, I can do that. You can see it going faster in the background. I can have it go backwards, or I can have it go really slow. Generally, we'll do 187. Great. And I want it to loop. Ta-da. I wonder if I can do vertical speed. Oh, wow. Now it's like, that's crazy. Let's not do that. Uh, great. So those are the two things I covered yesterday. All of that was pretty straightforward. Let me turn that off. Actually, let's not turn that off. Let's remove it because I don't want that to show up here. Remove. Oh, great. Wait, what? Oh, yes. There we go. All right. Ta-da. Main camera. Me again. So that's all I'm covering today. This was a pretty quick one. It's only been 23 minutes. This is my live. It started around 11:30. All right. So I hope you get it. That clarified a lot of the things that we were talking about yesterday. I will work on figuring out what I'm going to build. I'll probably start tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., and go through building something from scratch. Definitely, I can't say definitely. I'll probably use Next.js just for the front end part. I want to do some research of how I'm going to do the back end, how I'm going to tie it into something. Probably use Firebase because it's really nice. Let me actually give you a little taste into that. So if I come down here, let me turn off the OBS. All right, so if I am here, I just want to make sure. And I come back here and we'll go to Firebase. Firebase. And what's really great about Firebase is go to console. Is a lot of it's free and you can create a new project here and I will take you through this. And if I use Firebase, I probably will use Firebase. But you can watch a video, it builds, it monitors. There's actually ways to engage. There's several extensions for it. It integrates with everything. Wow, that's crazy that these are using Firebase. Well, there you go. It's really easy to add authentication. I wrote, let's see if I can pull that up, github.com/startups and code. Firebase tutorial. So I wrote a Firebase tutorial a long time ago. Let's see how long ago. 8 years ago. It has significantly changed since then, creating new projects. So I will actually go through this and I will use Firebase. I want to see what's changed. And I'll create a new tutorial for Firebase. We're going to build something on Firebase and I'll figure out what we're going to do, maybe design some initial screens to go, all right, this is the concept, and then we can clean up the CSS and make sure the UI is actually really flawless. You want to identify your happy path, right? Your primary use case of what a user is supposed to do. A lot of people are like, oh, I want this to have a dashboard of all of our metrics for whatever. Or I want to, here, let's use a stock market one. I want to see a list of the top 10 stocks traded today. Well, do you want a user to be able to select different stocks or just the top 10 of that day? And if you want that, is it going to have any type of authentication or login? Do you want to have a user actually log in to see those? Is it just a website that is just hosting data? Where is that data coming from? What kind of API are you connecting to? Are you doing screen scraping to actually get that data? Then if they log in, how do they create an account? If they don't log in or they do log in, how do they log out? How do they reset their password? All of these things that are basic need to be taken into account when you're actually building a new web application. And people don't think of all that. They just jump to the end of like, well, we just assume the user's logged in, created an account, be able to reset their password, be able to log out, and we'll store their preferences. You can't take that for granted because there's code involved in doing that. And when you do take that for granted, you forget so many things. But let's figure out what we're going to do. Maybe I will do a stock market thing. I don't know. We'll play. Uh, that is pretty much it for today. Uh, didn't really have a whole lot. Didn't plan on doing a whole lot today. Just wanted to clean up some of the stuff from yesterday. Think I fixed my lighting too. I'm not crazy bright anymore. Had to close the window. There was ambient light that was actually changing things. Sorry about that. And I think that's it. And I will talk to y'all soon. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions or comments. Or you have an idea that you're like, oh, I'd really like you to see you build this. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And we can do it together. All right, have a good one.